I completed my medical practice in 2012, and then I landed in Canada as a permanent resident in 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you've been practicing. Well, I guess you have to do your boards there.
Yes.
Yes. So you came in, and how long did it before you transitioned from somebody with a medical education living in Canada to somebody with a now a medical doctor, having passed the board exams and all that, and being part of the system?
So I landed in 2016. I became part of the system on June 1st, 2018 in Canada. Yeah, so between 2016, September, till the time I became part of the system, I was writing my boards and going through what I needed to go through, all the necessary training to get into the system. Yeah. So, but I'd taken some of the exams before I came. And then when I came, I just continued and took off from there.
Okay, that's good. So, roughly about a year and something, you arrived and became a Canadian board certified, doctor, ready to practice in Canada. And you've given us some idea of the kind of things that you do in your practice: emergency medicine, low risk obstetrics, clinical in office, practice, long-term care, and virtual, care. Professional life, how has it been, for you? You're obviously quite new in the country, 16 to 2021, yeah. 2016 to 2021. So roughly, was it 5 years into the system? And it looks like your Augusco experience has really been put to good use. You look and sound to me like somebody who's lived in Canada, forever. You obviously know how to put on the hat, that play the role, right? The world is a big stage, and when you're called upon, onto that stage, you play that role that you're called upon to play. And as far as I can tell, it looks like you've assimilated very well into the system and moving through your professional life as well. Would I be right in my assessment?
Oh, I think that's a very fair assessment of what has happened. So I came in, there were two options: one, to go into residency, or to what we do is there's another option of getting into what we call a practice ready assessment. So the residency means you're going to go through training again. And then the practice ready assessment is like, hey, I've been practicing in Ghana. Give me an opportunity. Let me write my boards. Give me a Canadian hospital. Let me go in there. Let me show what I can do. Let me be assessed by as many physicians as you want to be assessed. And I'll be assessed at the level of someone who has completed his residency program. And if, I pass it, then I'll be accepted. So I was one of 15 people chosen for the whole of Saskatchewan in 2018. I was the youngest. The next younger person was 44 years or 40 years at the time. At the time, I was 30 years. So the interval between me and the next person was about 10 years. And we had people who were as old as 56 years. And you could see the joy on their face trying to get into the program. So people looked at me and they were like, you're a baby, so far as this is. And for me, that was a reality check. It helped me to put things into perspective. That this is a young man, 30 years, getting into a program with somebody who has almost 30 to 35 years of experience down his belt, and you're going to do the same thing. Came into the practice, also enrolled in a university program as well in occupational medicine. passed the board exams a couple of weeks ago.
I noticed that. Yes.
Yeah, so now also an occupational medicine physician as part of that. But my real dream is to become an emergency medicine physician. Of course, I do that, but to get the board certification in emergency medicine is my dream.
Wonderful, and, wonderful. Yeah. I mean, this is exciting. I mean, any Augustinian who listening to this, and then I'm not talking APSU, but Augustinians today listening to this, I hope they are encouraged by your journey. This is really, I'm really loving it because of the accomplishments, and I think that younger students hearing this will take learn a lot from it. You know, it's really wonderful. Also, always we accomplish these things, and we come across challenges like, you know, family and work, right? I tend to notice, you know, things like that, and I'm not sure why. I'll give you another example. The people who come in and into the States with some education and want to, you know, pursue even further education and do what they came here to do, you know, better their lives. Maybe they join a church, they pray, you know, they're, you know, constant, you know, prayer warriors. They're in church and they ask for God's, you know, guidance and blessing and all that, and it's granted. So you get what you want. Maybe you become a nurse, you become a doctor, and all of that, and all of a sudden the work you that's presented to you that you've been praying for poses challenges, some of which will be your work hours, your scheduling conflicts with the church activities. So now you're not even able to go to church. The job you prayed for so much is now given to you, but then it conflicts with your family time and all that. Have you come across those things, and how do you deal with it, especially with the family, you know, dynamics? How are you juggling the challenges? You're still very young man. You're shooting for even more, which is great. As an APSU person, I'm sitting here. I've got somebody I can cheer for. I was part of the Amo group, so I'm always, you know, Augusco and Amo, you know, person. So this is great, you know, to hear. But how are you balancing the you know, these the professional challenges on one hand, and the zeal to move up the ladder and do the things you want to do, and have time for Beatrice and the two beautiful daughters that you brought into the world? How are you balancing all of that?
You know, to be frank, I think this is a very probing and telling question for every one in the work life. And you know, if I sit on this platform and say that everything has been smooth, you know, there've not been a tilting of the balance in one way or the other, I think I'll be lying to my colleagues, APSUnians, and I'll be giving them, you know, a false sense of what it means to maybe go through these things. Like there've been heart-wrenching situations, you know, where board exams, where decisions about where you're going to next is all shrouded in a lot of mystery. And it definitely affects, you know, family life, because then your wife goes, what's next? You know, what did we really sign up for? Did we leave Ghana to come here with no plan? So that is one. Then when you've prayed and gone through the struggles, now you get into the professional life, and at a point in time, you realize that because in the professional life, you have to also study for exams and all these things. And the truth is, things will not be the same when you are preparing for exams. Definitely, the balance will tilt in a particular way. You may have to spend more time in the library, you know, reading because a board exam is coming up. you have to give yourself maybe 6 months to prepare solidly for that particular exam. So, but one thing I've always told myself is that after that brief, difficult encounter of, not maybe being so available because you're not in normal times, when that which you were shooting for is accomplished, remember what you told the family, that look, maybe I'll have to not spend so much time with you because I need to do this, I need to do that. Then now we've accomplished that, so let's get back to the good old times. And for me, I think work-life balance is something I'm learning to prioritize in my life, because in the long run, what you have is family. And that is one thing I've learned as a young man. In the long run, what you have is family. Not even friends, not any other person, family. And you've got to make sure that you make the moments count. That's number one. Number two, I read a quote today that prioritize your rest as much as you prioritize your productivity, because it is the rest which is going to help you to be constantly productive. And what we are doing is more of a marathon and not a sprint. So, to have the capability or the capacity to be able to go into work and come back all the time and to look for other things to achieve, you need to make sure that you are solid. So far as family is concerned, you can't go out there achieving things when you have your home, in tatters. So thank you very much for bringing that up. And if I should say that, I've been I've been perfect at balancing all that, I'll be lying. But I do my best to take counsel. I do my best to, talk to people who are ahead of me. How did you do this? When you had your kid, what did you do? Oh, maybe I took maybe less hours in the hospital, or whenever it was time to go home, I went home. I never brought work home. These are things we can learn in order to help to propel us to the next level. Because I think that we are going to be successful in our commercial duties or our corporate life as much as we are successful at home. And that's a very critical point. And thank you very much for bringing that up.
Sure. Well, wonderful. You've been great. You've been a great star, for us. You've answered a lot of questions that I know for me in particular it's been very, very informative. My goal was to make sure that I project your journey from where you started, your early days into St. Augustine's, your experiences there, your experiences with your our teachers in the institution. Remember, the school set out to do exactly what you've accomplished. It's no accident that you are where you are. They wanted to bring in boys, a bunch of boys, bring them in and put them through the Augustine's experience. They set out to do what we, maybe never know that was the goal. You think you just show up in the school and you take this course and take that course and you get out, right? But it's some sort of a plan that by the time they get out, there's certain social skills, there's certain academic skills, there's certain, we're building, and it's an attempt to build a whole human. And they've put together some sort of a set of skills all around, and whether they're successful in all of them or not, that the goal is that by the time you get out of this system, that you're a whole man or close to it, that you'll be able to enter society wherever it is that you go and be able to use the skills that you get, to rise up. And I think you've done exactly that, and you've done it very, very well. As an APSUnian, I am super proud of, what you've done. I hope and really pray that it encourages others, who have watched today and perhaps will watch, in the future, to learn something, from this, and persevere as you have, work hard, and achieve your goals. We thank you very much. I'm sure our colleagues will have, questions for you as the floor is open,
Oh, Senior, I think, can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Okay, good. I think we missed the last bit. When you were
Oh, okay. No, I was thanking him for sharing his life experience, with us. I also mentioned the fact that it's no accident where he is. The school was intentionally, set up to do exactly that. Bring boys in and put them through this system that's been set up, that at the end, when you come out of the gate, that they produce a certain being with a set of skills that can go into the world, whether you continue your education or whatever it is that you do, that you have a set of skills that you can take with you, knowledge and general skills that you can use, to survive in this world. It really is no accident. When we had the last Augusco event here in Maryland, we brought in Mrs. Ajman, and she spoke to this. I really would like to, Augustine, if we have that speech, I would like to, get it, because it was a very emotional evening for me. My wife sat right next to me as we listened to her. And as I found out that day that I was no accident, that, some people years ago fought for this institution to be there, to be able to bring in boys and shape them in a certain way. And they believe that if they put together A, B, C, D, E, and shuffle these kids through it, some may come in not even knowing how to use cutlery and this and that, and dress properly and whatnot. But they will have a system, and that when it's all over, you create this person who goes out of here and succeeds in a way. Yeah, it may be varying levels. The level of success will vary, right? But they will be successful, and that's I think Yao embodies that, and that, I'm so proud, to hear him. I'm a cheerleader. I'll be cheering for you, from Maryland, and
Thank you. Thank you.
And I hope you achieve all your goals, for your sake, your family's sake, and for the pride, of Augusco.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Hopefully your colleagues also have some questions for you.
Sure.
Thank you, Senior Francis. That was beautifully and eloquently delivered by you two. We are really grateful for this time. So, seniors, you have the ability to unmute and then ask a question that you want to ask. You could also raise your hand, and then we can call on you to do that as well. So feel free and ask, Dr. Broni, any questions you might have.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I have my kids in the background, and you be hearing them talking and playing around. I'm really sorry.
We love kids, Zach.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'm so happy to see Dr. Amo Broni here. I've known Dr. Amo Broni like forever. We're in touch, and we're talking. At some point, I didn't know where we all left for. So I'm happy to see him here. My question to him is, growing up and knowing him as a kid, he was smart. I knew you were very smart in Flores Gate schools. And you were the one who received all the prizes. That school was very competitive. With all those students, the professors' kids from UCC, and all those kids who will be studying all day when they go back from school. I don't know how you did it. Were you having some extra classes at home, or were you doing something special? Because I wasn't receiving prizes like you were doing. What were you doing different? Now that you're an adult, you can tell me more about what you're doing or what your parents were doing for you. Yeah, because I do remember, you are such a modest guy, but I love your honesty. So I know you're gonna tell me everything, right?
Sure, Daniel. So Daniel, as I said, attended Flyers Gate schools with him. By the time I came to St. Augustine's, he was the assistant school prefect. The truth is, my father was not a strong believer of extra classes. In fact, Daniel, you know my father. So after school, I would rather go to work with my father. That is it. And we were into sales. So I've always been fascinated about sales. Like there were times my mother used to sell water, those times, ice water. So when we are done with school, I would go get some, take to Kotokraba market, sell. I remember there were about 3 occasions where I literally had to hide because I saw because it was after school. So some of my classmates and their parents were now walking through Kotokraba to, buy food stuff to prepare, that's life. It's not like North America where you go to do your groceries like at the end of the month and, no. And I literally had to hide with the ice water because I didn't want them to see me in that particular state. So, but around GHS, yes, I took 1 or 2 extra classes just because I wanted to take it. And I felt that, look, all my colleagues are doing it. Why doesn't my father want me to do it? He's a typical person who said that, no, I don't think you need extra classes. so that was it. I took extra classes, maybe in mathematics, not because of anything, but just because I think others were taking it. It's an opportunity to also hang out with, all these friends from Mary Queen of Peace, Montessori, just to know what they were doing. And at times I went to extra classes in very interesting places like Aboom Zion, Aboom Zion. So those who are in Cape Coast, Aboom Zion, and Aboom Zion is not comparable to, Flyers Gate in any way, but just to be part of these. Don't forget, I grew up in the Zongo. So just to be part of, my colleagues who were in some of these schools, that was it. Like there were times when I was in Flyers Gate where I would sell. There was a woman who used to sell kenke and shito and of blessed memory. She's called Sister Bata, like an elderly woman. And I would sell our ice water close to her stand till around 10 p.m. 10 p.m., 11 p.m.
Wow.
We cut around maybe 5 a.m., sweep the compound because we used to stay in a compound house. Go fetch your water, at least 8 buckets of water to fill the barrel before you went to school. And so, when you came to St. Augustine's and, you are to clean the shanks or you are to clean the bathhouse, or that was
nothing.
that was nothing. And the truth is that I always tell my parents that I'm not going to exchange that childhood experience for any other thing. Everything I went through, I think, has helped me to appreciate life and to understand what life is in totality. Because it's not always about, and I'm not discounting the experience of, anyone, no matter where the person is coming from. I am just talking about myself. And yes, I may be rough on the edges, I may not be very smooth. I probably did not know how to use the cutlery and all that because, you eat with your hands. In the morning, it's kinky, you eat, that kind of thing, that kind of mentality. But it's helped me to become who I am. And I really appreciate that. So Zach, I don't know whether I answered your question, but
you did answer my question. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
One last question to you, Dr. Amo Broni. So when you were in Augusco, as you said, cleaning and scrubbing in the morning was nothing to you. It might be some kind of challenge for some people. Aside that, what were you doing in preparing for exams? Augustins, we had a lot of distractions before our exams. So many things going on. Some of us were not really good at managing it, although some teachers would think, hey, this guy got it. This guy's a smart guy. He's good. He's the assistant senior prefect. It might not be the case. I didn't get that support. Everybody thought everything was good for me. but it wasn't. I had my struggles. How are you studying for exams?
Oh, so of course, you know, during that time, they will say, oh, after prep, everyone should go and sleep. We would find a way to sneak out of the dorm rooms.
Right.
And then you are just hoping no one comes to chance upon you studying, you know, or you would also hide in your dormitory because at a point in time you were becoming a senior, because it didn't take long to become a senior, unlike maybe Senior Francis's time where you had to be a junior for almost 5 years, right? For a time, as soon as you are done with first year, second year, you know, you are neither a very big senior or you are neither a junior. You are answerable to the third years, but if you're a good boy, no one has any issues with you. So that was it. But I was also lucky. Zach, the school, the house prefects in Joseph's house, Collins Tepete and Humphrey. So I when I came to the house, I was, you know, they are one of the boys who used to serve the house prefect. So I used to at times go to the house prefect's room, even from first year, to go there to do some studying. But of course, you know, you do very little studies because they'll send you to go and buy this, go fetch water, and other third years will be coming into the room, you know. But hey, what are you doing here? You know, what is this first year boy doing here? Hey, Collins, don't spoil the boy, you know, that kind of thing. But that was it. So first, even though they would say, look, after prep, no one should, you know, study, which was good. But some of us also felt that, look, we've not reached that kappa yet. So let's find a way to sneak and go and do some extra reading. Or maybe the seniors when we became second years, third years, would use a particular, we call it a bunker, like a corner, you know, and then we'll get the lights on and we'll be there to do some reading. So that was it. St. Augustine's wanted to discipline us. We also found our own discipline in an interesting way.
It looks like I'm taking all the time, but hey.
No.
So do you encourage to extend the prep hours in St. Augustine's College? Your perspective?
I think that we should have compulsory prep hours, but then should also give an opportunity for people who will want to maybe do some extra reading to, you know, have the opportunity to want to study. And maybe we can have designated classrooms where they can go do that. You know, not that every classroom is opened. But, you know, I'm not an educationist. I don't understand all the principles of pedagogy and, you know, the extent to which a young man's brain can go. But with what I did, I think that maybe if after the compulsory prep hours, we have, okay, you can still have about 2 hours more if you want to do some extra reading, that would be good. Because, you know, we did morning class from morning, we went on breakfast, and then closed and went for lunch, went for siesta, and after siesta did some 1 or 2 hours of reading. They would go and work and then go for supper and then come and do 2 hours of studies. You know, how do you assimilate all that you've done in the whole day? Of course, there are some people who are very smart who may be able to capture everything in 2 hours, but all of us know prep time, that's the time boys will come and crack, and that's the time boys will come and do all sorts of things. So maybe if after the compulsory prep time, we also have an opportunity for people to do their personal studies, you know, maybe an extra 2 hours, and it shouldn't go beyond 12, because by 5 a.m. you should be out, you should be up. That should be wonderful.
Thank you. Over to you, seniors. We got to work on that.
Okay. Thank you, Zach.
Brilliant questions, Zach. Thank you.
Yeah. But one thing I also want to say, and it's something which is very dear to me. I think, Senior Francis, I brought it up when we're having the discussion. Many of us find ourselves, maybe if I'm a physician, it's only medicine I know. I think St. Augustine's taught me that, look, you can do more than what you are doing, you know, and especially coming to North America, seeing how the economy works and everything, we should have the opportunity, or we should, as APSUians, aim at trying our hands at other things which may not necessarily be in our comfort zones. Because I believe that the real miracles occur outside our comfort zones, even in terms of, professional development. So yes, you're a physician, or maybe you're an accountant, or maybe you're a banker, or maybe you're a teacher, or you're a nurse. Beyond the nursing, what can you do? There are APSUnians who can, guide and teach you principles of finance, even coding, all sorts of things. But what I've realized is that for many of us, as soon as we settle in, we think this is it. I've reached the pinnacle and I'm not going to go again. We allow the curiosity which was in our hearts when we're going to St. Augustine's College to die. And rightly so, because life has a way of beating us into shape, where at a point in time it becomes bread and butter issues. But I also believe that there's a lot which can happen, which can help us to thrive, not just to survive in North America and in Ghana and the world at large. And that is when we look at other things, maybe make it a point that at the end of every month, I would have read maybe 2 books, and I want to implement those principles practically, whether in my professional life or in a side business I want to run or something. And for me, that is very, very critical. So that is something I'm very passionate about, that beyond what we do professionally, we may have to look at doing other things outside our professions in order to help us to grow and accomplish more things. I think Senior Francis has gotten up for a reason or two.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do you have any more questions?
Any more questions?
I guess before anybody else comes, I can ask one more question. Yeah.
Sure.
So you talked about teamwork, the need for students to have team sports to build the character of being team players. Were you able to do that while you were in Augusco? And if you did that, how did that help you in your current profession?
So that is one thing I said about, the quiz team. Like for a very personal reason, I had to leave. But from hindsight, I'm of the view that maybe I could have stuck around to help, the team. I could have stuck around to help the team itself. Not just because maybe you were going to be the one on stage. And that is why I'm very passionate about, the fact that should be cultivated. So I don't think I embodied that when I was in St. Augustine's that much, because of course I didn't play in, team sports, but when we went for physical education, I'm always a collaborator. I love to collaborate with people to do stuff. But one point in my life in St. Augustine's, which I have a little regret about, is, leaving the team. And even though it was for a personal reason, I think that I could have still been there and done, other things, helping the team in one way or the other without having to be part of those who were going to do the quiz itself. And that is a little regret and a little confession I have to make, especially now that I have this opportunity. And that is why I'm very passionate about team building and teamwork and all that. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. You having the extra curricular things in your life is critical. I know for me, I've been fortunate to be part of management in the various organizations that I've worked for, and I get to attend meetings of all kinds. I've gotten by with the smarts of the industry that I work in, and that's great. But I always find myself quite lacking in an effort to learn everything, and become a subject matter expert in what I do, I've also have had to sacrifice knowing other things. So, for instance, I don't watch movies. I declared war on movies because I felt it was going to be a waste of my time. My mentality was that it's entertainment for somebody. The more I watch them, the more money they make. And my time is valuable. I'm not going to give it away to them. I have to use it my way to better myself. But I find that in these meetings here in the States, I don't know about Canada, but you talk to folks in meetings here and there, and throughout you get references about movies and this, that, it's almost like it informs life as much as life informs, that, right? They're constantly, oh, yeah, that's just like Stallone in so and so and so. And all of a sudden, I'm lost. You were the star a few minutes ago when you were talking about all these subjects, relating to what you're really doing. Mm-hmm. Then you segue into something else, and then they're making references about movies and how, how this is the same as that or whatever. Well, I didn't watch that movie, but they assume that everybody, did, right? So my advice, to those, coming up, wherever station you're in, take some time. You live in a different world, and if that's how they communicate, in their communication, they intersperse with, movies and shows and this, that, and throw all these things around. You don't want to sit in there and like you're from a different world, right? Because it doesn't always look good. I joke around with it. I found a way to joke around with it and tell them, oh no, don't talk about that movie. I intend to watch it when I retire to the nursing home. So don't ruin it for me, right? And then they laugh, But it's serious, because when they make those references, to a movie or whatever, it's all part of what we're doing. They're communicating, right? And they're trying to make things, make other people understand whatever it is that you're talking about by referring to something that they know would be, outside of the intense, technicalities or technical, things that we're dealing with. Or really, truly, this is just like this. It's like Star Wars, blah, blah, blah. It's like that, and I'm like, I didn't watch Star Wars. I didn't, So if you have the time, make sure that, make these, part of your, although it's entertainment, but you also remember that it's part of the world you live in, and there'll be constant references, Doc, from your patients to this, to that. Somebody in trying to describe to you how they feel may refer to some movie, and you're sitting there like, I don't know what you're talking. But if you had watched the movie, you would have gotten it. You see what I'm saying? I feel like so and so in so and so movie, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Guess what? You watched it. You know what I'm saying? So whenever you have the time, I know that's one of my regrets, that I didn't spend a lot of time, watching these things. I didn't realize how much of an impact it would have. And I would just straight on through the technical manuals and all of that. But it comes up a lot that I say to myself, boy, I wish I made more time, to incorporate some of these into my life, so that when it comes up, I don't sit here looking like I'm somebody from Mars or something. Yeah.
Cool. So yes, we have 4 more minutes to the top of the hour, so you can fit in a few more questions if you have them. So, Dr. Broni, before anybody else comes, what would you say will be one thing that we can do to bridge the gap between younger APSUnians and then senior APSUnians?
For me, I want us to set up mentorship clinics, and I'm using clinics because that is what I'm familiar with. Mentorship clinics. Fortunately, the pandemic has opened the door for us. Every old woman in Ghana now can use Zoom, in quotes, you know, and you know, we can set up mentorship clinics. Very, very wonderful. Now, because of Zoom and, you know, Google platforms and all that, you don't necessarily have to take a flight from, you know, North America, drive all the way to Cape Coast to make an impact in St. Augustine's. You can have sessions with groups of students. While in North America, you can go to your regular job and, you know that I'm mentoring maybe Science 5, Science 4, Science 3, or these groups of students. So that is one thing I want us to maybe look into, mentorship clinics. Yeah, where we can talk about various things, and it can even be done during some of the entertainment hours, you know. So it's not all about music and all that. Maybe once every month, once every 2 months, we can have, you know, an APSUnian, a big projector, Zoom, you know, a whiteboard. The school is in there. The person is communicating with them. And these students can come in to ask their questions. They can be broken into chunks, you know. Those who have problems with this, they can go to the neurology clinic. Those who have this, they can go to the musculoskeletal. I'm just using that as an example, you know, where we can have APSUnians who are specialized in certain things: finance, tech, healthcare, hospitality, you know, marketing, all these things. And we can start having those conversations so that the young people don't have to get into the university, leave the university, throw their hands into the air and ask, what am I going to do with my life, before they start finding their feet. If these conversations can start, it can help broaden their horizon and can really give them a better perspective to life. So mentorship clinics is what I'll propose.
Bright idea, bright idea. I like that.
That's awesome. I think you kind of picked up on what we were talking about at our interim executive meetings. We have something in the works for mentorship. Partly will be a group mentorship, and then subsequently we'll do like a one-on-one mentorship program. So I'm sure we'll pick your brains as we go along. So brilliant answer.
Sure.
Any more questions?
And with those mentorship clinics as well, what I would suggest is we get, you know, objective, measurable things, you know, so that, okay, we're supposed to meet with this particular group of people. What have we been able to achieve in the past 3 months? When you touch base, maybe you have to send a report to a mentorship coordinator, something, so that people understand what is really happening, and not, you know, we leaving it out there like that, but objective, measurable things, which can be taken note of.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if there are no others, I will still be asking more questions. So what's one culture shock that you had when you came to Canada?
The fact that when you have a funeral or when you deliver a baby, people don't troop to your house. I'm like, what is going on here? You know, in Ghana, especially, you know, when my brother died, you know, all you get are flowers and you are in our thoughts and prayers. But then in the long run, you get to appreciate it, that is their way of life. And so you've got to respect it. But that is it, you know, the involvement of the larger society in your joys and in your sorrows is something which is interesting, because with Ghana, you deliver, everyone is coming to look at the baby. In Canada, oh, then, you know, you get a nice card and that is it. You go like, no, I just don't want cards. I want people. You know, you want to interact with people. But I also think that, you know, life is fast-paced and people are, you know, achieving things. But in our achievements, we should make time to connect with people, because we are human beings and we're made for each other. So that is what I strongly believe and feel.
Cool.
Good.
So inshallah and vibes, I think.
Yeah.
I learned a new
Inshallah and
vocabulary
vibes.
today. Inshallah and vibes.
Yeah,
Wow.
vibes there. As an opinion, you have to have vibes. You know,
Yeah.
vibes will get you through a lot of life situations. Vibes are important. And yeah.
Nice. Seniors, last call for questions. Feel free, you can unmute yourself. Going once. Going twice. All right. Dr. Amo Broni, I think you have been brilliant. You have given pretty much a lot of answers or a lot of inspiration to others. This video will be made available on our YouTube channel. If you're here and you've not signed up or you're not subscribed, go to APSU USA on YouTube and subscribe. You see the videos, you see the previous videos on there, and then you can watch them. And this one will come eventually in the next few days, and then you can watch them. It'll be in parts, so you watch part 1 and a couple of parts and so forth. So that is one. And I think Father Andy had to go because he's outstation. So he's not available to say a closing prayer. But just a couple of announcements before we play our school anthem, and then we'll ask for closing prayer. So if you don't mind, I will share the screen briefly. Oh, if Onana, are you online? Can you hear us? All right. So I think just to go over our announcements real quick. Coming weekend is our Congress. We're gonna have it in Maryland, and we would be at DoubleTree by Hilton. So just those in the Maryland area, we'll give more information as we go along, but if you can come, we'll be safely in-person meeting. So we'll wear a mask, we'll be seated apart. So and just keep that at the back of your mind. But on Friday, that'll be September 3rd, we'll have a meet and greet at Cape Coast Cuisine. That'll be from 6 p.m. So, you can add it to your plans. What Cape Coast Cuisine does is they do, it's a bar, it's a restaurant, it's an African restaurant. They have some great, food over there. They cook fresh. So ideally, if you order online before you go, you get your food ready in good time. And so, that gives them also some lead time to prepare the food. So everything is done fresh on site. You can't ask for a better thing than that. So meet and greet will be Friday, 6 p.m. Then we'll have a hybrid Congress on Saturday, 10:30 a.m. at DoubleTree by Hilton Laurel. It's not too far from Cape Coast Cuisine. I'm sure those who are in the Maryland area would know it. And we'll meet safely in person and by Zoom. Now, we want to advise, if you have people living in your area, you can invite them to join remotely and watch. Those who might not be traveling to Maryland, and those who are in other states, you can call a couple of your buddies to watch it together. I think that will be a great time to reconnect with them. So just keep that at the back of your mind. So the Zoom link will be coming out for us during the week. And then right after Congress, about 2 p.m., we'll go to Cape Coast Cuisine again for our Ponchuke. So same case, we can pre-order our food ahead of time on the website. We'll put all of that information on our platform. That way, they can prepare for us for that Ponchuke. And also our online registration is still going on. If you haven't registered, please take a moment to get on our website, apsusa.com, and then register. So these are the announcements we have so far Winana, if you can hear me and you can chip in any others we may have left out, please feel free to do so. All right. Okay, cool. So I think that is it for the announcements. Shall we play our anthem and then we can ask for the closing prayer?
Okay, shall we share the word of prayer? We thank you, dear God, for an opportunity to meet as friends, brothers, colleagues, past students of this great institution. We are about to part ways from this virtual meeting. We beg you that please look between us. Please keep us safe, protect our families. The weekend is ending. Help us to enjoy the blessings of this weekend and take us to the coming week. Help us to achieve what we have set our hearts on to achieve and even more. And we praise you for being our God. Thank you for being close to us. Thank you for this opportunity to meet together. And whenever we meet again, we'll praise you. Thank you, thank you, thank you once again. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. So seniors, thank you all. This has come to the end of our program officially, but as we normally do, we can hang out for maybe another 30 minutes or so. For those who want to do any chit-chatting, informal chats, please feel free. It's open mic time.